So really, from a running standpoint here, it's got to be a little bit of a movement across different positions. It's not just going to be running backs. We need to find ways, I think, to get fullbacks into it. But the quarterbacks are going to continue to get their carries. But Sims needs to get healthy. And it kind of leads us to the next discussion point here, and that's the QB controversy. And we're saying QB controversy. I don't know if there is one or not. Haarberg clearly looked the part last week, albeit at home against Northern Illinois, not on the road against a P5 team like Jeff Sims has gone against. But I think the fact is we're going to need both of those guys. We're going to need them on the field somehow. I think Jeff Sims, his role becomes that much more important, if nothing else, as an athlete.
Well, 100%. And here's the deal. As you were running down those rushing stats, I mean, Gabe had 38 carries. That's actually not that many going into game 4. That's not a humongous amount of even carries that we're trying to replace. So this stresses the importance of not only getting Sims healthy and ready to go, but having a backup quarterback ready to go as well, because you can see that the quarterbacks are going to be the lead ball carriers on this team for the foreseeable future. Now, let me put a bullet on it. If Anthony Grant comes in and plays like we think Anthony Grant can play, he could take significant snaps away from the quarterback. But I got to tell you, I like how both quarterbacks run their zone read. They both do a really good job of holding the mesh a long time and really sucking those defenders up to run up underneath them. And it's been very effective a few different times. So yeah, I 100% agree, dude. If we're going to continue to run the kind of offense we're going to want to run, it almost makes me wonder, do you even play Sims this week just to make sure he's 100% healthy going into the stretch in the Big Ten because of our running back situation?
Well, and do you line him up this weekend, is he your third emergency quarterback again like he was last week? Right. Number one, just to be healthy. But to be very clear, and this gets to that quarterback controversy standpoint of it, is that to me, there is no controversy. We're going to need both, one way or the other. And I made that statement on Twitter, and we got a lot of responses of like, oh, come on, somehow people took that as I want Sims to start over Haarberg. I'm like, no, we're going to need both. The amount of carries that these guys are getting, also the athletes that they are. To your point, both of them, they bring the same skill set. They are big dudes that can run the ball well. And we've already seen both of them at different times basically carry 20 carries a game. Yep. So when you think about our running position being hurt, the running back position being hurt with Irvin and Ramir now being out for the season, some of those runs are going to have to be taken up by these guys, by these quarterbacks, which we've already said, hey, we got to be careful how many carries these guys are getting. Well,
no, we don't.
Rule made that statement. Rule made the statement this week, and he goes, our quarterbacks are going to be part of the running game, at least for this foreseeable future, for this season. I don't know that that's what he's wanting to do next year and 2 years from now, but this year, those quarterbacks are going to have to be a part of the run game. And so both of those guys better get ready for it. And so if you're asking me my personal opinion, yeah, I think you start Haarberg this week, regardless of Sims' health. But Sims needs to be healthy because I think we're going to need him out there. He's going to be a guy that can carry the ball at times, whether it's as a running back. And I know that sounds crazy, but how did Haarberg get his start this year? He was a wide receiver. He caught a pass against Minnesota. Why would we think this coaching staff would be any different with Sims? Would they not line him up as a receiver? Would they not line Sims up in the backfield as a running back? Could we have two quarterbacks in the backfield at the same time? I don't know. Get creative. I mean, injuries can create that.
Yeah, 100% he can. And, just to kind of drill down on this quarterback controversy thing, I'm going to kind of talk out of both sides of my mouth here a little bit. Because as the game went on last Saturday, I thought to myself, okay, the defense is playing kind of like how the defense has been playing. They're hitting, tackling well, really physical. They look like they know what they're doing. The special teams played a little bit better than last week. I wouldn't, a couple good punts, but nothing exceptional, nothing like blew the doors off. No long field goals, no long punt returns or kick returns, anything like that. The offense, the running backs pretty much ran the same. The tight ends kind of caught the ball the same. I guess what I'm trying to say is the only difference I saw was at the quarterback position. So this is me drilling down on Haarberg a little bit. First off, let me say this. He didn't set the world on fire with that performance. His numbers aren't gaudy by any stretch. He probably should have had 100 yards on that many carries. He probably should have had a few more passing yards on that many attempts and more completions. First to admit it, it's his first start. No big deal. But my point is this. Just not turning the ball over allowed us to have the game that we had. And he looked so comfortable in the pocket to me. In the passing game. Not just the throwing, but the passing game. When he would drop back in the pocket for first start, I thought he felt pressure very well and did a good job of escaping and trying to get some yards. He had one really bad throw into coverage, but only one. And everything else,
that could have been intercepted. Yeah,
for sure could have been. But we've had a couple of those too. So, but like he would roll out, he threw the ball away a couple times. He got what he could. He didn't hurt the team. He never hurt the team, and you can see how much better a chance we have of winning a football game if we're just not hurting ourselves. That's kind of what this game was. The don't hurt me kind of game.
Well, that's the thing. We could have fumbled 3 or 4 times. He could have fumbled snaps the same way we did against Colorado, and that game looks very different. All of a sudden, it's not a 35-3, lead going into the final couple minutes if we fumbled 3 or 4 times. So holding on to the ball, just simply doing that, to your point, that's a huge deal there. Now, Dion prior here, he said, we all know that Sims is starting Saturday. I'm not sure about that. Now, Big Red Junkies, they asked a good question here. Do you think Sims is getting into the Louisiana Tech game might be the confidence builder and test he needs? So the opposite approach, as opposed to saying, let's sit him out, let's get him healthy for Michigan, is this guy, he's not exactly, up in the head right now. He's probably not feeling the most confident after those first 2 weeks. Maybe he needs some snaps against Louisiana Tech and some confidence the same way that Haarberg got that against Northern Illinois.
I have no doubt about that. I think there's a really good case to be made for that. And I hope that is something they do. I guess it's hard to say when you don't know his true health status. So I think for me, number one is he needs to be 100% healthy, 100% healthy. Well, 100% for the fourth game of the year healthy. No one's 100% once the season starts. Yep. So I like the idea of getting him in there, getting him some confidence. I don't even necessarily care if they start him because you and I talked about it, Matt.
That's exactly right.
What upset me before after the Colorado in the Minnesota game was it doesn't really matter how the line is. It doesn't really matter how the running backs are running. It doesn't even matter how the receivers are getting separation. If we can't trust our quarterback with the ball, it just doesn't matter. And at that time, I had no idea what to think of Haarberg. No idea. And so after seeing him get in there and protect the ball, by the way, his fumble, the most reasonable fumble of the year. Okay. That's one. And I would give him that. The pocket collapsed on him. It was a quick rush. It wasn't blocked very well, but I'm not blaming the lineman. It wasn't schemed very well to block, and shit happened, and that's fine, dude. Like that's reasonable, but he didn't let it rattle him. Like I watched his eyes during the game; they never got big. And he was far more accurate passing than I thought he was going to be. Far more. I don't love his sidearm delivery, but so does Sims. So it's like that's not a win either way. But. It's also reasonable to say, yes, he was playing at home. Yes, he was playing and not a Power 5 team and not a hype environment for the other team. Like that's totally fair. But my greater joy comes from the fact is, look, this should be the basement of quarterback play. Like it wasn't like I said, it wasn't exceptional. It was really lunch. What do they call those? Lunch pail kind of guy. Like it was a very workmanlike effort of operating the offense, which right now in this team's evolution, that's all I want. I mean, yes, I would love for him to blow up and be the next coming of, I was going to say Johnny Manziel. That was such a poor comparison. Shedeur Sanders,
right there. There you go. He's the next Shedeur.
But he may or may not be. I don't care. This year, what I want us to see is what it looks like when we don't kill ourselves and we play a game for 4 quarters. And I think most fans would feel that way with me. We just don't want to see us doing the stupidest shit every other series to kill us. And Haarberg, now, I know we're blowing it up. It's one performance. But hell, we only had 2 from Sims. and actually his career before that. So
Sure.
it's like I have a hard. It's hard for me with Sims because of his career, but going back to this, I said I was going to drill down, talk out of both sides of my face. Sims is a more gifted runner. He's definitely faster. I think he provides more on the zone read as far as when he gets loose. He might have a better arm. He might. It's hard to say. What I would like to see ideally is Sims just to play a hell of a lot better and get a hell of a lot better, and we have Haarberg in the wings because we're going to need them both. Yeah. Actually, I don't care which way that goes.
Yeah, I'm like I said, right now, based off of pure performance, I'd start Haarberg this week, regardless of health, right? But John Fields here, he goes, I feel the game is a little too fast for Sims at this point. Don't disagree. I think that's where the mistakes come from. It's got to slow down for him. That's it, for any chance for him to get out there on the field and play quarterback in meaningful minutes, the game has to slow down. He cannot make the mistakes that he makes. But as an athlete, and this is where we're talking about with injuries to the running back, we're going to need playmakers out there on the field. And whether you can only play one quarterback. So let's say Haarberg completely takes over that position and doesn't let it go, which it's a possibility that he goes out here and has a poor second game, by the way, folks. I mean, now there's tape of him out there for the next team to go and prepare for too. So Haarberg, there's a lot of work he has to do. I mean, let's not crown him. Let's not crown the Heisman yet. That Colorado has 4 guys ahead of him for the Heisman. So, let's not quite give him that yet. But I love what Haarberg did. I love everything about it. Mm-hmm. But we're going to need Sims, his athleticism, in some way. Patrick McGuire here, him, Mac. He said Haarberg's long pass needs a little work.
No question.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. He threw a nice deep bomb there in the game, and it was right in front of us. And it hit, I think it was Tommy Hill was the guy that was going for the deep ball. Hit him in the hands. Would have been a really hard catch, but that was a hell of a throw there. So really, both of them have got big arms. I can't believe how bad Sims' deep ball was to Hill in the first game against Minnesota, considering how some of the video we've seen of him at Georgia Tech throwing the ball.
He's definitely capable of that throw. That is. I don't know what the problem was on that pass, but that is well within his toolbox to make that play.
Mm-hmm. Another question here, Big Red Junkies. Do you guys make anything of the Ron Brown wisdom shared with Rule about him needing to practice jumping on a ball? So like with the fumbling, I mean, I know they say you play how you practice. I guess we probably haven't done a lot of practicing fumbled snaps out of the shotgun. That's a tough one. Just don't fumble the snap out of the shotgun. I mean, if you do a fumble anywhere, you got to jump on whoever you are.
To me, that was I'm protecting my guy with a story because, again, he's not new at starting quarterback. He knows what a fumble is. He knows what a possession is. I don't care if you practice it. Like, that's the dumb. Okay. I'm not going to go that hard in the paint, but no, I will say I love Ron Brown on the sideline, just like every other game he's been in the last century of Husker football. Why there's not a statue of Ron Brown? When he dies, there needs to be a statue of him on the sideline. That's probably not legal, but like he's just with his arms crossed and sunglasses chewing gum. You know what I mean? Like that is Ron Brown is an icon of the Nebraska sideline. So I don't doubt that Ron said that, and he had good intentions to it. It's more that. I guess we'll give it a shot, see what it is. I don't know that that's a fair excuse for him not reacting to the football the way he was.
They said that they were telling him to get out of the way of the fumbles, which in practice, think of what that tells you for a second. In practice, it means they're having fumbles if they're telling him to get out of the way in practice. So right there, that's an issue. We're having fumbles in practice.
That's not good.
And this is where you go to the second half of the Colorado game, and they started going under center more. And you have to almost schematically, if you can't shotgun the ball to a guy, that it's a different kind of shotgun issue than a couple of years ago with Cam Jurgens when he was young. But at the end of the day, if you can't get the ball from the center to the quarterback in the shotgun, then you've got to do something different. And I mean, I don't even want to spend too much time talking about shotgun snaps because we're a D1 FBS college football team, and that shouldn't be an issue. But I don't discard what you're saying here, big Red Junkies. I mean, I think it's a legit question. And it's a legit issue they were having, but they just need to not be having that anymore. And so it was good to go through a full game. Haarberg, 0 issues with any of the snaps, 0 issue with the catches. Hopefully that's not something that we have to deal with the rest of the year.